Hi, team. Welcome to the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Coming up, we talk about the group content-focused dev stream from last week. But first, some game and guild news. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 180, who is the little-known fifth child of Isaacs and Skyva. He's the he's the runty one. With me, as always, is Seema.
I love it. A history joke.
a new old lore joke. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Yes. Isaacs and Skyva are two of the old gods in the pantheon of Zakul. So there.
Yes. Yeah, so there.
So I have an announcement because I know you guys have been just like wondering how I'm doing with my New Year's resolution of no more binge watching in the month of January, which I did an excellent job of. I'm going to extend it into February. But I felt it's necessary to kind of clarify what binge watching is because I'm thinking what I don't want to do and what was deleterious to me and in general was if I watched more in one sitting. Because technically it's binge watching if you watch one episode every day, because that's still different from the old television style where you would only get one a week. You could still watch a whole season in 2 weeks or 1 week, depending on the show, instead of having to wait week. So I just don't want to watch anything more than 2 episodes at a time.
Got
so that's
it.
not hard.
In a sitting? 2 episodes in a sitting? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I feel fine if I watch an episode and then the next day I watch another episode or, the day after that. It's just, I just don't want the, 6 episodes at a time binge watching. That was very bad for me.
Got it. Good plan.
So I'm ready to start. I feel strong. I can do it. I'm going to start The Expanse soon.
I am 3 episodes in. It's good. But I'm a fan of the books.
Yeah, me too.
My son, who I thought would be a huge fan, he thought it was only okay. I think he still likes it, but he wasn't as blown away as I was. Okay, but that's a different podcast. How about Star Wars? What have you been doing this week?
You know what? In Star Wars, I've been doing a lot of the same stuff you did. Like we just came from a good MFN night where we went and tracked down a DVL boss and killed that, and then we also went and did Karaga's Palace, which is actually not bad considering we got our normal late start, and we still got a complete run of Karaga's Palace in. So CXP for all, and also conquest points. So that was good. Last week in our regular ops team, which now has a leader, so that makes me so hopeful. We did a run of explosive conflict. I've been doing a little bit more leveling on my crafter characters, which is kind of hilarious because I don't know how to, I have a Plasma Tech Vanguard. I have no idea how to play him, so I'll have on one monitor the article from Dolphy about how to play that class.
Yeah.
And I'll be playing the game on the other, and my eyes are actually looking at the article. Okay, I did that. Now I should do this. Now I should do that. Oh, look, rail shot's up or whatever that thing's called.
Yeah, but that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, and on that particular character, he has a level 23-ish influence companion. So it's not super fantastic like on my characters that have level 50, but I made a mistake a long time ago, and I clicked on a boost when I didn't mean to. So I feel like I can't do the influence on his companion. I have to go, whenever I log him in, I have to actually go and do stuff because he's got a boost running still. So.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean.
And I love my new AoE. It's huge. It's not only huger in circumference, it's actually taller too. I mean, which makes nothing but sense because, they just
It's not the size that
change the
matters,
scale of it, but it's I like how the green dust is goes up over your head now.
It is. Yeah, that's a big mess all over the ground. We had
If you
multiple
ever,
commando healers in the group tonight, and everything was just coated with green goo everywhere.
it's like you can't see anything else because there's just green dust everywhere in the air.
I have also been doing all of those things. I did have fun. I tanked in Karaga's Palace tonight, and I haven't tanked in a while. So I tanked on this power tech, which I kept logged in for the same reason that you are not logging in that other character. I have a Galactic Conquest, a GXP boost on my Merc. So I logged my Merc in to be here with in the screen for the podcast, and then I was like, no, I can't waste my boost.
No, especially not that. Well, how did you pay for it with command tokens?
No, I just used some coins, some extra coins. I wanted to try them out and see what it felt like to have that on, and
Yeah.
what the rate was sort of like. So that was the first time I was trying them. And doing it this week, I was mostly doing it with PvP and GSF, and it's a good it's a good chunk of command XP. It does feel faster in addition to being faster. It's certainly noticeable. I felt makes me want to keep them on. So we'll see how that goes.
I think buying them with command tokens might be the way to go because I have a feeling we're going to end up with more command tokens than we can spend
Did I say
on
command
gear.
tokens? I meant cartel coins, but
No, I
that,
know, but I'm just
yeah,
saying we might find ourselves with more command. Sort of like
especially
how there
over
was.
time. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
So good question, something to keep an eye out for. And we'll talk a little bit more in the news this week about what they're doing around the rate of gain of command XP and that kind of thing. But yeah, that was great. Explosive Conflict was fun with our main ops team on Thursday. That went pretty well. I had fun explaining those fights again. That was the first time that we went all the way through it. I don't know why. We just haven't gotten back to it for whatever reason. But that was the first time we went all the way through it, all the way to the end, since 5.0.
yeah, since level 70. Yeah.
So that was cool. And I did my conquest objective almost all off of PvP and GSF this week again. GSF, I'm getting pretty good with the bomber. I'm pretty happy with that. So I think I can fly a bomber and a gunship and a scout now, just not a strike fighter. So there's
I did mine completely
that.
with whatever happened to me.
just it naturally occurred, which is a way to do that, which is
Well,
recommended.
I take it back. I did it with the heroics on planet. What planet was it
Mm-hmm.
last week? I forget. Balmora.
Yeah.
And but
And
then there were
Elm.
some characters that got some from other things we were doing in the guild, like ops and other things.
Yep. But with that, we can talk a little bit about that news that did happen in the Dev Tracker, especially this week.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
So one thing you may have seen if you were paying attention, and I sort of didn't during the week as it went past, work was busy or whatever, there was an emergency maintenance that went on during the week. And the reason for that was there was an exploit. And it was an exploit that was easy to make happen, and they had to get in there and cut it off right away, which was apparently one of the missions. You were able to turn it in and get the rewards for that mission, but it didn't actually complete, so you could just complete it again and then again and again and again and again. So don't exploit. I don't think it was a big problem because they noticed it and they knew it was their problem and they fixed it really quick, but don't exploit also.
I mean, yeah, that's a pretty major bug. I can see wanting to reset everything to stop that one.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk when we go over the live stream stuff, we're going to talk about gearing changes a little bit, but Eric also posted some stuff in the dev tracker to sort of clarify. One of the things they talked about on the live stream was wanting to make the process of gearing up faster because they were getting feedback and they saw it happening, that even though they were hitting their goal for the most part of an hour of gameplay making a crate, it just seemed like the hour of gameplay for one crate was not satisfying enough or rewarding enough. So now their new goal is 30 minutes. That is not to say that if you play very aggressively, you can get them faster than that, but the average person playing is the goal. The goal is one crate every 30 minutes.
Yeah. I think that's good commentary, and it was clarified in some of the discussion. If you're one of those people that was grinding Fractured, for example, over and over, or Master Mode Chapter 1 of Coffee, yeah, they're not balancing it around that. They're balancing it around what the average is. So that's
Yeah, you
nice
still
of
have
them.
those options if you want to go faster than the 30 minutes.
Yeah, if you want to go faster by boring yourself to death and making your eyes bleed, feel free. But
Well, I
you just
mean, I could see doing that for a couple hours and then doing something else or whatever.
yeah,
But
yeah,
because I mean, I've done similar things where back in the day when I was trying to get affection for Kaizen, I ran the Essalus
well,
over and over.
I can't say that I haven't run Black Talon like 50 million times. Oh, that's another thing I did this week is I ran. I finished getting to 70 from like 67 to 70 on my Vanguard and 68 to 70 on my Power Tech. And I did run Black Talon a couple times on each of them. So, okay.
So they're
that.
also looking at improvements that they can make to the unassembled components and unassembled pieces part, and as well as somehow making the gearing more alt-friendly. They're looking at different ways, I would imagine. Like, I don't think they're going to go right to make everything bind on legacy, but they are looking at ways that we can, yeah.
Yeah.
Like right now, me personally, I'm only gearing up one character, or a character that can wear her armor.
Right. They're continuing to look at it. They're continuing to make changes and continuing to address it naturally over time as the content matures, making it easier and easier to do with alts and that kind of thing. That's relatively reasonable to me. A lot of people, may be saying, why didn't they just do it right in the first place? Okay, but you also, even doing it right in the first place is making it hard in the beginning and making it easier over time. That's a valid design strategy too. Not that that's what they had in mind right out of the gate, but I think it's not terrible the way it's working out.
I mean, what I meant too when I said I'm only doing one character, it's because it would be so much effort to gear up an alt. I'm not saying I don't understand the alt issue because I only play one character. I have tons of alts, but I'm just not gearing them up because I use all my playtime with one character.
Right.
So yes, that's what they're trying to address.
Yes, when I'm in all 240s on my main, then I'll worry about gearing up this other stuff. Because I'm not running hard mode operations or master mode, operations or chapters or uprisings on anything except my main. So, also in the news, you should look in the dev tracker if you are interested in the closed PTS of the new operation. So we're going to talk all about what the new operation is and what it means and how it's going to be released. They are already getting the test server ready. What they're asking for in that post about that new operation is getting ops groups to apply and getting ops groups or guilds in as a group. The only thing they're going to have on the PTS for a little while is the first boss that they're creating of the operation. They're not going to have any of the other content that we're going to go through. So they're saying right off, what we're looking for is ops groups or guild groups that can run the operation. Not right out of the gate, individuals just saying, hey, I want to jump in. They're going to do that over time and allow like pug groups to try to form to kill the ops boss. But in their initial focus, their initial invites, just keeping things more focused and under control. They're looking for those groups. If you have an ops group, get a look at that post, put your list together, send your submissions with your notes on who else is in your group, and maybe you'll get in. Bridging that over into guild and community news, if you are in Alea Iacta Est in Star Wars The Old Republic on the Imperial or the Republic side, and on one of our ops teams especially, either a main or if you're a sub or an alt, we'll want some of those alts over there too for the alternates on those ops teams. Check out our forums or the pinned link I put in our Discord. We're going to put together the list of the people that are committing to jump in there and being part of testing that ops boss. We want to make sure we have a good group. We want to make sure we can actually do it as a group and commit to getting in there and killing the boss and trying it out and testing the content and providing feedback if we're going to make that happen. But to do that, we need everybody's account names. That's part of what needs to happen. So post them there in that thread, and we'll get that all together and get those sent off in the next day or two. What else in guild and community news, Zima?
I just want to make a note that in Conquest this week in our guild, on the pub side, the target is Alderaan, and on Imp side, the target is Nar Shaddaa. This week is Rakghoul Resurgence. Some notable, repeatable stuff you can do. Group Finder flashpoints, Group Finder ops, the weekly flashpoint missions from the terminal, like Galactic Conflicts and the tactical one. The Alderaan weekly missions, or you can actually do them daily if you pick them from the Galactic Conflict menu. And as always, repeatable GSF and war zones. Some notable one-time stuff. A little bit of crafting you can do. You can kill 250 mobs on Alderaan, or you can do like the House Guards, 25 House Guards. You know, depending on your faction, it's like House Algo or House Thul, I think. There's a few, or a couple anyway, specific flashpoints you can do in any mode. One time, Lost Island, Kaon Under Siege. You can kill the Alderaan world boss. You can kill the Eyeless in the Rakghoul area, and you can do the bonus boss in one of those flashpoints. I forget which one, but it's probably a Rakghoul themed one.
Kaon or Lost Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loves me some Rakghouls, so get in there and
Fresh Rakghoul, mate. Yeah, I hope not. I hope you don't. You know.
have fun with them regardless. But keep in mind then that also a lot of those things contribute to Conquest, so that is pretty cool. Someone also was mentioning in guild chat, was a good reminder for everybody that it was Tetsemi, one of our master officers across all of our games, was reminding people that if you need Dr. Loken as the companion, you've got the alert to go get Dr. Loken. There are some Rakghoul event-specific things to do to get Dr. Loken off of your alerts for your command yada yada companion thing. so you might want to do that this week too. All right. With that, before we get into what's new, certainly thank you to the chat room. We've got a big group in there tonight. I'm very happy to see that. Thanks for chiming in there with notes, letting us know answers to our questions as we're getting prepped. I really appreciate you guys doing that. So thanks. I will catch up with you guys after the show in more detail. But with that, yeah, we can get into the way I'm going with Game Changer for this because I think this is what we've been waiting for, and this will change the game for us in a good way this summer.
Game changer.
Game changer for
Game changer for the industry.
It's a game changer. New operation. And it is one operation, but we'll talk about the details. I am happy to hear it. And I think in general, people are relatively happy to hear it as well. So we got the dev stream, and they talked about not only a new operation, but a couple other things on top of it, which was a little bit of a surprise to me. My guess was they were going to do an operation, and the way they're doing it, I get how they're doing it too, and I know they were looking for feedback on how it's going to work, and we'll talk about that. And I don't mind that, but the fact that there was other things that were added on as well that we'll talk about, like the daily area, I thought that was a nice little add-on surprise. Plus, it's all around IOCath, right? And IOCath.
What could be cooler than IOCath?
Yeah. So Dyson Sphere, right?
Right.
It's not it might even be an ecumenopolis on the interior of the Dyson Sphere.
Yeah.
So, because Dyson Spheres are so cool, I like that whole idea, and I'm glad we can get back to IOCath, so we'll talk about that too. So just general impression of the stream, Seema, before we get into the specific agenda topics. Did you like what you heard in general? Were you happy that that went on this week? And what was your impression?
Yes, in a weird way, I was really glad that they had something to say about a new storyline because I thought maybe we would be in this kind of cycle where one year it was all story and one year it was ops and then one year it was all story and one year it was something, PvP or something like that. I'm glad that story is going to be a theme throughout the year as well.
I agree. I think I was also very surprised and pleased that the general consensus from the community in general, even on Reddit, was relatively okay. And a lot of it is finally they're announcing some new content that people have been waiting for, so that is pretty cool. So I was good with
surprised
that too.
that they are bringing back two companions because I thought, I don't know, I've been conditioned that that's just a lot of work and so hard and don't look for it, and I'm like, oh.
Right. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into all the things that they said they're doing now and why we think it's a great idea. So they kicked it off with their normal agenda. They talked about the cartel pack, which I don't really care about. What did I see? Kidley actually had an okay video on one of the new the tunings that came out. I think it just came out this past week on the weapons. I haven't been paying very much attention to the stuff that's coming out in the cartel packs lately. Like, here's this big tank thing. I think that's pretty cool. Maybe I'll get one. I don't really care all that much. Weapon tunings. They had, the last one they put out in the last pack was a strap. It was just like a shoulder strap that would like hang down on any weapon, including like on a shoulder strap on like a lightsaber hilt or on a blaster. So whatever, they're getting a little creative on that stuff, I guess. Have you been paying much attention to what's even coming in these cartel packs, though, Seema?
No, but now, since you started talking about it, I opened up the cartel market, and now I see this Ember Act Dog, and I'm like, oh my god, I want that.
Ember Act Dog, really?
Yes, on the front page.
They also said that they were coming out with, I saw in one of the previews, a reskin version. Oh, that Ember Act Dog is he does look pretty cool.
He's a pet, though. I mean, he's not a companion.
He's not a companion.
Right.
But they have a companion that's coming out that, or maybe already did, that's a reskinned copy of my cat. What's my cat thing called? The Nexu.
The next. Oh, you think that's a cat?
The Nexu? It's cat like a cat rat hybrid. Here's my Nexu. Yeah.
Here's Ember Act Dog on the GTN, by the way, 3.4 million
for the
versus
pet?
240. Yeah, versus 240 cartel coins.
Too many cartel coins, or too many credits in the market.
Well, I mean, I think they're trying it out because it's brand new, and they probably just came off a cooldown, and
yeah. So I guess, okay, well, maybe there are some interesting things. Regardless, I find most of that boring, and I didn't even want to talk about it. But now
yes, I don't listen to, I have to say, I kind of tune out during when they talk about the cartel market on the live stream.
So then I skipped ahead, and then they talked about Master Mode Uprisings. So great. They said they're adding Master Mode Uprisings. Those are going to come as part of this new release that they've timed out now to end of March, beginning of April. This is when all of this new content's coming. The one thing that hit me with Master Mode Uprisings that I liked to hear was new mechanics. There will be additional Master Mode mechanics in the Uprisings. So great. That's pretty cool. I didn't think they would go that far. I thought they would have just upped the health and damage and called it a day. So they're putting a little bit of work into that. We'll see what they come up with. And then they got into the real cool stuff. So as you said, Seema, new storyline. It's all tied around story. So we'll talk about the companions coming back, the new operation, and the new daily area. But they kicked it off by saying it's all tied together with a storyline that flows through all of it. And Charles Boyd was definitely involved in how all of this is now unfolding. It is around Iolcath, the Dyson sphere, where Scorpio, spoilers, sorry, end of the story, where Scorpio ends up leading you to. This was sort of an element of the story in Knights of the Eternal Throne. You had to you went there. You had to leave because bad things happened or whatever. Everything got irradiated. You couldn't hang out and check it out. And now the storyline ends up as, hey, now it's opening back up. It's open for exploration. Let's go check out what's going on. As you said, Seema, story that ties all this together and with, flowing through to what's going on that's going to come in the operation and what's up with the companions. I'm happy with that too. I'm glad they're not just dumping something in there, that it's all part of a bigger picture.
And they said it's going to go back to more of a conflict of the Empire versus the Republic instead of this, wussy working together thing.
So the chat room is clarifying, and we'll see more specifics in the next couple weeks on dates, but whether or not it will actually be end of March, beginning of April, that's what they said in the dev stream. So I'm expecting, if they say end of March, beginning of April, and then they're hedging a little bit and saying, yeah, it'll be probably more in the April timeframe, I'm still expecting beginning of April. The other element of what we heard in terms of progress that makes me believe this will be the beginning of April is the PTS is going up already, and the content that is going to be in this update is stuff that they're close to having done. So there's that. So new storyline that ties it all together, the master mode of the Uprisings. There won't be any new Uprisings associated with it, but within the storyline, there will be the two new companions that will be coming, not two new, two companions that will be coming back with a story associated to their return to either joining or not joining your alliance. The two companions are Quinn and Elara. And they alluded to, and I don't know the whole story on this. I don't know if you know more than I do, Seema, or read more into it. But there will be an opportunity to sort of side with either the Empire or the Republic. And it seems like regardless of your class or whether you're Imperial or Republic as base class. So you'll side with either the Empire or the Republic as you go through this story. There will be a reputation associated with whatever side you side with and a progression for that. And it seems like these choice of companions will be tied to where you go and who you ally with, whether it's Republic or Imperial. Which means that regardless of story, I'm going to get Elara back, because
Right.
especially on my Vanguard, because my Vanguard had Elara at the beginning. Elara is his girlfriend, and I've got the zombie. I've got the Rackle companion customization for Elara. She's my zombie girlfriend, so I got to get her back. And who wants Quinn? Nobody wants Quinn back.
A lot of people want Quinn, so they
Do you
can
want
kill
Quinn?
him. I am meh on Quinn. I don't hate him or love him, but I mean, I think I might side with the Empire, because I really like Darth Acina and the way she handled things, and she helped me out.
That is a
she
good
helped my
point.
alliance out, and the Republic did not. The Republic was just being their same old corrupt selves, really.
That is a good point. And if it wasn't for Elara, and maybe on my bounty hunter, because he never, in theory, met Elara, doesn't really care about Quinn either. Maybe take the opportunity to shoot Quinn in the face, or just leave him in the stack of companions. I like that idea of the Republic Acina was pretty cool about the whole deal and seemed like, not a bad leader as things shook out between what was going on with Valkorion at the end of Knights of the Eternal Throne there. The Republic slipped up.
Bringing Elara back is a big deal. I mean, I would say she was one of the at least top 2 or 3 of the ones, that hadn't come back that people were wanting. I mean, the most vocal one I think is Mako. People
Right.
missing their Mako.
Right.
But Elara's a big deal.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I was thinking about this the other day, in that I know there's a lot of emotion that people have around what companions are gone and what companions are coming back, and I'm so mad that Mako's not back, and I was one part of me, and it doesn't fit exactly, but one part of me was thinking, I'm surprised people are so attached to these companions, given where pop culture in characters in stories has gone in the past few years. If you think about Game of Thrones and Walking Dead, taking main characters and cutting their throats at a moment's notice, to all the time, where you develop, you can't let yourself develop an attachment to any character anymore in any stories, because the new hotness in every pop culture story is to kill every character you like. I'm surprised people aren't used to that now and just, okay, well, Mako's gone. Maybe she'll come back. Maybe she won't. Maybe she left the show. Maybe they killed her. Maybe the walkers got her. Maybe the zombies ate her.
Yeah.
It happens in stories. It's part of the story. And sometimes characters die. Sometimes characters go away. I'm coming more to terms with it because of that. If you really want a particular companion back, you can still go to that terminal and get the companion back. Having a story for them to come back and having sort of like a reason and a whole thing going on here with Quinn and Elara, that's pretty cool. All right, so those guys are coming back, and another weaving into this whole storyline is, and this was the surprise to me, the new daily area.
Yeah.
Was this a surprise to you?
It was a surprise, and I'm looking forward to it, because back in the day, one of my favorite things to do really was go to, when we got that first daily area black hole, I loved doing that. So I'm hoping for like something similar. And they did intimate too that there'll be maybe some of that walker riding going on and stuff like that. So I'm hoping they'll be fun, fast, rewarding, all that.
I agree on all of those points. As long as they don't go too far in. I liked the walker thing. I liked fighting the big robot. I liked those kinds of things, as long as it's not too much. I don't want to have to, spend tons and tons of time outside of my character's controls, because you get really comfortable with that. You want to do that.
They did mention that there would be a new faction to gain rep with.
Right. Okay, so maybe that's another reason you'll want to be doing these daily areas. But getting back to your point on Section X versus Black Hole versus CZ-198, every time they added one of those daily areas, I was also quite pleased and had fun with it. And we still go back to those every once in a while. We do dailies in those daily areas. I like it.
I enjoyed CZ-198. I even Bel Savis, the old style ones, I like doing those, and CZ-198 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Section S, I guess, was in a way my least favorite. I don't know why.
There was a lot of annoying trash. That's why you hated it. It's very difficult.
It's kind of annoying terrain. Like everywhere you go, you have to go around a wall or around a hill or something. I think it's something like that.
Way off
to
in
go
that
anywhere.
back area is where you start off the HK, the old school HK mission, which was pretty cool.
That was cool.
I do like that. But you're right. It's hard to navigate around there. You're always aggroing lots of stuff, and you have to weave your way all around to get anywhere. Not as clean as CZ-198, which was that cool office complex theme, and Black Hole, which is set in an echinopolis. So,
yes.
One thing I hope with this daily area, so this is in Iocath. You'll be able to then go to Iocath. I hope it's a big enough open area that you feel like you're sort of strutting about in Iocath. Remember, being a Dyson sphere means it's bigger in surface area than pretty much any planet ever in Star Wars that we've seen so far. That aside, so I hope it's big enough, and I hope there's gathering nodes, grade 10 gathering nodes. So BioWare, if you're listening, The only place we can get grade 10 gathering nodes right now is on Zakul, and they're shared with grade 9 nodes as well. I would like Iocath to be littered with grade 10 nodes. That
You can
would be
get
cool.
grade 10 on Darvanis as well.
Darvanis too. That's a good point. But having just grade 10 all by themselves, all meshed in there in Iocath. Although I don't know how they would do bioanalysis, but maybe they'll have some bio robots of some kind, or just plants, goo and mold growing in the sides.
I find that they drop such a high number that I don't mind that they're mixed, and you can always use the grade 9 for conquest anyway.
True. You can. That said, I still want a place that I can go get grade 10 when I just need grade 10.
Oh, well,
There's
right.
that.
So you can make a bunch of augment kits and
So I
sell
can make
them.
augment kits, exactly, because you need so many of those darn augment kits. That's exactly what I've been doing. That's why that's the only time I've farmed grade 10 materials is to make augment kits. So you're right. So daily area, yeah, that was a surprise, and I'm happy to see it. And that leads us then within that whole theme then of what's going on in this daily area and why you're going to Iocath and what's happening on Iocath is they alluded to it. I didn't even listen or make a whole bunch of notes around exactly what it is, what's going on. Something about some sort of new super weapon, and you need to get in there and deal with it. The operation then that they're putting out is going to be a new. So here's the deal, and people aren't exactly clear. I think there's some confusion around what they said and how they're handling it. They're putting into the game over the course of the summer and into the fall a full regular 5-boss operation. Regular operation, 5 bosses. You go through just like you expect for how operations work. Maybe some new mechanics and new surprises and things like that. But it's not 5 Taboros courtyards. It's a regular full operation. However, in order for us to be able to see content sooner, it's going to take them a while to finish developing the whole operation. They're going to release the whole operation in stages as they finish it. So the first boss is going to be released in update 5.2. That's coming around the beginning of April. That first boss, and we'll talk about who that boss is. That's gonna that first section and that first boss of this complete operation is gonna get released. Then a month or so later, a month and a half later, they'll be done with the second boss, and that will get added on, and then the operation will have 2 out of the 5 bosses in the full operation that will be ready. By the end of the summer, if you come back or you're new to the game in October, November, it'll just be another the Iocath operation, and it'll look like all the other operations. It won't be weird in that way. They said they asked for feedback from the community. They did a lot of debate on their team. The trade-off for them was, do we wait till October to put out this new operation that we're designing and building right now, or do we do this thing which is a little bit weird, but release 1 boss in April, 1 boss in May or June, 1 boss in July or August, and do it in stages like that? The consensus that they got amongst their design team and the feedback that they got from the community in sort of private interviews and conversations and focus groups and maybe talking to influencers was putting it out sooner, getting a boss out there sooner is going to be interesting and fun and keep more of the community together. So yes, please do it that way. You can debate that. You can say, you could say, I wish it was lots of other things. But between those 2 choices, which are the only actual 2 choices, you could say, I think it's dumb for them to release it in stages. They should just wait till it's all done, knowing that you're going to have to wait till November. Or say, okay, I get why they're releasing it 1 boss at a time in that way. So before we go any more on that, Seema, what are your thoughts on releasing it in stages like that, the first boss, versus getting it all done and waiting till the end, or sort of where do you fall down as far as that goes?
Well, they made the comment on the dev stream that the live stream that you could wait and do it all in a binge, like a Netflix binge. And I'm like, well, since I'm not doing Netflix binging anymore, this release schedule is fine with me. But yeah, no, between those two choices, obviously I want to have one boss sooner. I'd rather have a boss for a month and then 2 bosses for 2 months and then 3 bosses for, 3 months, which for the first boss would be the same month and 3 months, then wait till the end of the year and get 5 bosses.
Right. I think, especially for us and the way our guild works and the kinds of things that we like to do, we've been waiting a long time for ops. This is going to be exciting. Sure, it's only going to be 1 to start, and then it'll be 1 and 2, then it'll be 1, 2, and 3. Having that sooner rather than later is going to keep a lot more people together. It's going to bring people in to have something to do at least. Sure, that first boss is going to get old, and it's going to get old sooner, but I'm certainly okay with that. Kothak66 in the chat room reminds us that in addition to the first boss being released and then the second boss to be released, they said they will be they'll be adding the additional modes for the first boss by the time the second boss comes out. So are they going to do story and hard mode in 5.2 for the first boss?
Yeah, my understanding is story and veteran in 5.2, and then master comes out when the second boss comes out.
So you'll have that to deal with too.
Pattern. Yeah, that should be the pattern.
So let's talk about this first boss. Introduce him, who was first of the 4 children of yada yada and of Isaacs and Skiva.
From the Zakulan pantheon. Although now that I know about the Zakulan pantheon, I think maybe they just meant that he's named for him or he shares a name with him, because pretty sure this operation boss is a droid.
Yeah, we were debating that a little bit, going back and forth on what this all means, or what Charles was sort of alluding to in the dev stream. So you can look it up in the dev stream and hear him sort of talk about it and allude to, wink, wink. There's some lore stuff in here that you may have picked up on. I don't know where you would have picked up on it, though. We were debating this. Is it in codex entries, possibly? Is there where you're even hearing about these gods of Zakul and the pantheon of yada yada and what Skyvex, Kizkazi, and Izix and
Right.
Isaacs I've heard of, because I think that came up in some of the dialogue with whoever those sort of priesty type guys were. And so cool.
Yeah, those guys.
Obviously, I'm not all that sort of lore. I'm somewhat lore challenged apparently. I don't know, that maybe that's a good place to look, is dig into your codex and see if some of this stuff is explained. Apparently, Charles Boyd thinks that it is, and you may, the Heralds of Zildrog. You may have heard of these gods and their pantheon and where some of this lore is coming from, and he was doing a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Hey, there's a connection here with this first boss, Tyth, who's named for, or potentially more than just named for, this one of these gods, the god of rage and anger and stuff.
Yeah. Rage.
I took it as, but this is potentially where the lore for their gods came from. Say they're more primitive people and they're visited by Tyth here in their ancient history, and that's where their sort of legends and picture of their mythology came from. And then he went back off and went to hang out back in his homeworld of Iokath. But maybe not. Maybe he's named after what was already in their mythology. Regardless, he looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they said, I was listening to the chatter a little bit more today, he's also giant. I think they were saying the size of your character basically comes up to their knee. Comes
Right.
up to his knee. So He's a big guy. And Charles also seemed to be alluding to some interesting mechanics associated with him being that, that god of rage, and how you're going to need to deal with him in that his rage is potentially one of the mechanics that you're balancing over the course of the fight in some way.
Oh, interesting. I missed that.
Or maybe I'm making that up and I just heard that in my head, but I thought that's what he was sort of alluding to, which sounded sort of cool to me too. I do know that they're going for doing interesting new things both in the daily areas as we saw in the chapters, doing more of that over time. Hope maybe we'll be seeing some of that kind of thing in how this first boss works. So that's something to look forward to.
Arjar in the chat room says that Senya sang about Tyth.
Did she? Really?
I missed that too.
And
yeah, Arvashette, does Tyth need no allies in standalone? I thought of Titan 6 too.
That would
he's
be,
also pretty
I want to
big.
see a matchup. Oh, you know what I want? This reminds me. So in my stronghold right now, one of my favorite things is the couple decos that I have in my Yavin 4 stronghold. Right as you zone in, there's that big pad where you can put 2 of the giant centerpiece type decos. And the 2 that I have there are Garge and what's his name? From Dread Fortress, the mecha.
Oh,
Grobthok.
Grobthok, yes.
So I have Grobthok and Garge facing off in my stronghold here. Now I want a Tyth and Titan 6 to replace them that would be facing off against each other in my stronghold. That would be hella awesome. Yes, I said hella awesome. So there's that first boss. Then we'll have the rest of the bosses coming later in the summer, over the course of the summer. Maybe we'll be getting some additional companions over the summer. Maybe we'll be revealing more of the story. They did make it clear. I did hear a comment from Charles that I think the way they described it as the storyline is your return to Iokath and what's going on throughout the daily area. You unlock the daily area by completing the story in some way. For one, I saw that in some of their notes specifically. And 2, the operation is a sideline to the story. It's related and it's an element of the story, but it's not the completion of the story. So the people that don't do operations don't need to worry that they're not going to see the story, they're not going to get resolution. I thought that was an important point.
Yeah.
It's showing up in the next couple weeks on the PTS. That's impressive to me as well. I thought when we heard this announcement, it would be, here's, this is day 1 of design and development. We'll have our first boss out in July. So the fact that it will be on the PTS in the next couple weeks, I was also impressed by that. How about you, Seema? Anything else that sort of stood out to you in the notes or as part of this wrap up that you wanted to call out?
I too am happy about the multiple things, but about the PTS coming up that fast. But I also am happy that they took the feedback, or maybe their metrics got this too, but a fact about Galactic XP being too slow. So I'm kind of looking forward to that 30-minute crate over the 1-hour crate. I was kind of surprised by that too.
Right. They did go into that into a little more detail, even in the stream. Their target.
And this is a little bit of a sideline, but I was kind of pleasantly surprised too when we were in ops. Like I went on Monday with Soldiers of Light, and we actually got set pieces or that tier of gear, because some of it was the non-set pieces like ears and implants and stuff, off every boss. I think we lucked out and got off every boss. And then on tonight at MFN, we got quite a number of them too. So I'm pleased with the rate that those are dropping too.
So we ran Karaga's Palace 16-man, and we did not get any of the token drops, the unassembled piece drops off of the Rancor, the first boss. But we did off of every single other boss. I think every single other boss. So we got lucky. Even so, it's good to see that amount dropping. And then we got 4 unassembled tokens off of Karaga for relics. So it was quite a bit. It was enough for almost everyone in a 16-man raid, for at least 2/3 or 3/4 of the people to get an unassembled piece out of that one run-through of Karaga's Palace.
Oh, and that reminds me too, that's one thing that Eric clarified this week too, because in the live stream, they only ever mentioned the number 8-man ops. And so I took that to mean that they were possibly not going to do 16-man, but he says, yes, 8-man and 16-man.
Yes, to be clear, 8-man, 16-man, story, veteran, master. I was also very pleased to hear all of that. So it would be great. This gets to some of the criticism. Why aren't they releasing 2? Why aren't they releasing 2 tomorrow? That's not in the options. That's not in the cards. So the fact that we're getting 1, it's a full complete 1, I'm happy with that. I'm happy they're not doing 8-man Uprisings, which potentially could have been an option. I'm glad it's a full operation. If they could have done 8-man Uprisings and do, a bunch of 8-man Uprisings versus get us this is what we get, and that was going to be a trade-off, I'm glad they went this direction. I'm pleased with what I think is them dealing with a limited set of time and a limited set of resources, and this is what they can put out as fast as they can put it out. This is the direction that I would have picked if I was running the business. Anything else that you would be asking for to be this plus something else, that's not an option. You could want that, but they don't have those resources available to them, and I think that's what we're dealing with. There was a couple comments in the chat room just asking the question, and I've seen it presented much more antagonistically in various forums. Are they stringing out the bosses like this just to get people to subscribe longer? My view on that, my expectation on that is no. And I feel quite strongly that that's the case. That is not why they're doing it this way. It is not in any way to string people along and just release things slowly over time. If they could release a full operation tomorrow, they would. They can't. This is their development schedule. This was the trade-off. Either put a full one out at the end of the summer or put out the bosses along the way as they can. I think in no way is there no calculus which says that we're going to put it out slower than we could in order to be getting people to subscribe longer.
Yeah, I don't think there's any support that would actually keep subs anyway. So yeah, I
Right.
don't think they're doing that for that reason.
Right. All right. So, yes, we could have wanted more. We could have wanted it sooner. But with what we got, it's a start. And I'm happy that it would potentially be on the PTS. May see this new boss as early as the next couple weeks. We'll have to keep an eye out. We'll keep you updated in the podcast. Any final closing comments, Seema?
I want to go play the Lady of Sorrows chapter again now and listen to Senya sing that song about Tyth, because I remember her
Right.
singing, but I didn't listen to the lyrics. And
No,
even if I had, I wouldn't have retained in that way. So yeah, I
Right.
love that little piece right there.
Right. So I think with that, we can wrap up, and our fifth child of Skizax and Isaacs can jump in this escape pod. the runty little brother of Tyth there
Tyth.
can jump in. EPC 180 can jump into the escape pod and head out and broadcast this all to all of you. So thanks to all of you for joining us on newoverlords.com, iTunes, YouTube, or live on Twitch. We will stream again next Tuesday night on twitch.tv/newoverlords around 10:30 p.m. Central. Please follow us on Twitter @MaxTheGray and @AIESEMA. And hey, go on YouTube and subscribe. No real reason, because it doesn't really do much for us. But other YouTube channels have much more subscribers than we do. So go and subscribe. So I feel better.
We have subscriber envy.
But more importantly than all of that is for you to come find us on Jedi Covenant and ask us for an AIE Guild invite. That's why we do this show. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.